Hi, everyone. Well, thank you so much, Suzanne, for having me. I am so excited for this chat with you today. So, as you said, well, my name is Mireille Nicole. I'm a relationship coach, and I work with women to help improve their relationships, find love, and have their happily ever after, essentially. So, when I work with women, usually in my case, it's a minimum 3-month container. I love to show women how within 12 weeks they can see huge shifts in their love life. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I know the people listening want to hear more about your story and go into it. So maybe we'll chat a bit more at the end about this. So yeah, I know you wanted to fill in the listeners or viewers how we first met.
Yes. So we first met through a coaching program that we're both currently doing at the moment, actually. We're both in that together. And I just sort of gelled with Millie and thinking, I struggled with my relationship along the way and past relationships as well, but obviously we're in it now. Um, and when I was really, really poorly, I really, really struggled with my relationship. I think down the line, I've always been quite sort of together and knew what I wanted. We were in a really good relationship. But when I became poorly, that all kind of fell by the wayside. So could you just give us some examples, Marie, of how you would coach someone in helping them to save a relationship that's worth saving?
Yes, worth saving is such a key part of it, right?
Yeah.
So I usually work with women on 3 different pillars. Um, I call them the 3 C's. And the first one actually is a combination. I work on kind of confidence and charisma, I like to talk about, and even clarity, right? So working
Mhm.
on those aspects, just so that they can have a lot of a vision for their love life and really determine if this is what they want, if this is what's meant to be for them. And also communication, which is an important one, having those difficult
Yeah.
conversations, especially in a situation like you're going to describe to us, right, where you were going through something very hard, a health challenge. So really navigating that. And also sometimes when we don't have all those tools, right, it can lead to conflict. So I work with women a lot on the conflict and fighting better, and how do we make these challenges, these difficult conversations, actual bonding moments with our significant other, where we go stronger as a couple and start believing and experiencing that we can overcome anything, right, together.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the
That
the
sounds
big aspects.
great. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
brilliant.
So why don't you tell us, Suzanne, a little bit of how you got into holistic health and your story? And I'm excited to talk about this because I am such a big believer that health has a huge impact on our relationships. And I know you're going to talk about your challenges, but even just for the women listening who might not have as big of challenges, any kind of improvements to your health is going to impact your love life
Yeah,
too. So let's,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I've kind of always been ill all my life. For many years, didn't know why. I went undiagnosed with endometriosis, which, for those of you who don't know, is a condition that's on the womb where you get lesions. It's very, very painful every month. I probably started with the pain around about aged 10. Nobody knew what was wrong. I was told it was just growing pains. I would grow out of it. In fact, I was told by a doctor when I was 12 that once I had a baby, the pain would go away and I would be fine. That was what I was told. So growing up, that's what I believed. And the ironic thing about endometriosis is that you can't get pregnant, or it's very difficult to. So my journey all through my 20s was very painful. I kind of got to the point where I thought I was a bit of a wimp because didn't really kind of talk about periods and monthly cycles then at all. It wasn't really something that people
Yeah.
talked about. You didn't, I didn't know that my heavy blood flow was heavy for a start. I didn't know that everyone else didn't pass huge clots,
Mm.
sometimes the size of golf balls. So for me, this was my normal. This was what, and I just got on with it. Eventually went through IVF numerous times. It didn't work. Me and my husband split up. But actually, our relationship was kind of better when we split up. We were a little bit like brother and sister, and we've remained friends all these years down the line. And then I went on this real journey of this can't be life. There has to be more. And I discovered that my endometriosis was on my bowel, and I went to see a bowel specialist. She then led me on to look at nutrition and, going down that path of, she introduced foods to me that I'd never even heard of at the time, like all these seeds and just sort of different fruits and when to eat fruit, when not to eat fruit. Um, and then she suggested I went for reflexology, and that completely changed my life.
Hmm.
And so much so that I became a reflexologist. It was so profound, just taking away that pain and actually relieving that anger, that stress, which manifested into the relationship I had at the time. But he was really cute, and he used to come for reflexology with me as well. Used to go to a local college where it was cheaper, so I could go every week, and he would come every week. Would go for dinner and then would go for reflexology, so it was quite cute. Um, and then the reflexologist suggested that I should try Reiki. I ended up going down the Reiki path. And that's like hands-on healing for those who don't know. And I became a Reiki master. And all through this, I started to do yoga, which I could never really grasp why yoga was helping because I didn't know enough about it. To me, it was just getting into shapes, and all I wanted to do was touch my toes, like everybody always says.
Yeah.
But after a while, I kind of just became quite fixated by it, and I didn't know why. Years later, I discovered it's all to do with the breath,
Mm.
and I became a yoga teacher. So I've gone down this whole journey of discovering what works for me, really immersing myself in it, you know, going to college, going to night school, done all this whilst having a full-time corporate job as well. And that kind of is what's developed into my coaching business and my yoga business. It's to where I'm at now.
What an amazing journey. Thank you for sharing that. And so many amazing health modalities that you discovered along the way. And obviously, I very much resonate with your story in the sense that you were in a relationship before, you were married before, and no longer with that person, and became a friendship. And I share a similar story from that perspective. And I know now you're also in a new relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if you would share with us a little bit about that love story and the impact that these health challenges, as you continue to explain kind of what you went through, what was the impact on this new relationship that you're in
Yeah,
now?
yeah. So we met in 2014, and we met online on an online dating site, which I said I would never ever do, but needs must.
Yeah.
And that was like 9 years ago. And it was a paid dating site as well. You had to pay, and it was my last day, and it was Ian's birthday. And I always joke with him and say, like, do you not wish you'd just stayed? Because he came off the site as soon as he met me. And I always joke and say, do you not wish you'd stayed on to see if you could have met someone better? And he was like, well, there would have been nobody, which is a good answer.
Yes. Pass the test right there.
Um, yeah, so we just hit it off straight away. Everything that was my values were kind of resonated, but also he pushed the boundaries because everything that I used to say I would do, like I would never eat on a first date. I would just go
Okay.
for a drink. But on a first date with Ian, we went for dinner. and we got kicked out of the restaurant. We were there that long. So it was kind of nice. And then within weeks of being together, we decided we'd go traveling to India, which was
Wow.
a massive test for any relationship because that was quite traumatic. It was quite
Yeah.
stressful. Yeah. But yeah, and then down the line after that, I've had a lot of health issues. And me and Ian don't live together. We still don't live together, and it works. We'll
Yeah.
have this like weekend where I'm at his house, and then a weekend where he's at my house. And whichever house you're at, the other person looks after that person. And it just works. There's none of that domestic stuff that gets in
Yeah.
the way. Yeah, we just get on with doing what we need to do. Um, yeah, and then obviously I got poorly in 2021. I mean, I have had quite ill health through different reasons since then. But that kind of tested communication because I was so tired, because of I got sepsis and I was really, really poorly. Um, and that did test communication because I couldn't be bothered, basically.
Right.
I didn't have that energy. And I went into early menopause, well, radical menopause, which was absolutely horrendous. And I just didn't have some days, if you'd asked me what a mobile phone was, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. So to have a conversation with someone about a relationship was just, it just wasn't happening.
Right.
He was very patient, bless him. That's all
Yeah.
yeah.
I love how you shared your living arrangement, because I always tell women, your love life doesn't have to look like anyone else's,
Yep.
right? In every aspect. And this is just a great example of what you shared too, right? That's what works
Yeah,
for you guys.
9 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
9 years and still going strong. One of the
hmm
things, actually, I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a curveball here because I know we had discussed the questions ahead of time. Um, is that, I speak to a lot of women, especially like health conscious women, and one of the big things is when their husband or their boyfriend, their man isn't quite on the same page when it comes to kind of nutrition, even in health, right? And I know some women get very stressed about that and, we're not aligned. And I'm just curious, you had already done so many different modalities and everything. How did that play into the relationship? Is he kind of on the same page? Does he do his own thing and it just works? What does that look like for you guys?
No, well, so he thinks I'm a bit of a witch, which is
Yeah,
fine. I don't mind that. That's fine. Um, he's not into like reflexology or Reiki. However, certain things that have happened, he'll be like a bit sort of gobsmacked and be like, oh, like, all right, you might have a point.
oh,
Um, as nutrition goes, it's a bit of a nightmare because it is like being with like a 16-year-old boy because he eats burgers and chips and cake and ice cream and
yeah,
all of the rubbish. And I just have to be really, really strong. So, and it's really weird because Ian will say, oh, go on, have a pizza, have a treat, have a pizza. But a pizza to me is not a treat by any means of the imagination. So I'll get him to go and get his pizza and I'll just make dinner for me. And
right,
that has been hard because, say, when I was poorly or when I was really tired, I would just relent and go, yeah, okay, because I couldn't be bothered to cook. But I've learned now that asking Ian to cook me a healthy meal is a complete waste of time. It's just easier to do it myself. By the time he's gone to got the pizza and come back, mine will be ready,
right.
and I'm fine with that, and that's okay.
Yeah, and actually that led into a question that we had talked about. What are some of the things you did to get better? How did that improve your relationship? So it sounds like, food was a big point of focus and kind of letting go of the idea and accepting in terms of having different food choices
Yeah.
really became kind of like the better option for your relationship and the way to continue making things work. And at the end of the day, I mean,
And he's now, only now, mind, starting to see the difference between me if I eat a pizza
Oh.
and what happens to me on that night and that next day, because it has a consequence, because the next day I can't do anything, or
Mhm.
because all night I haven't slept because I'm feeling in so much pain and I'm feeling so ill. And so now he's only now just realizing, oh, if she doesn't eat the pizza, the next day we can go out in the camper van and we can go for a big long walk.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
benefits from that.
yeah.
And
Rather than
mm,
lounging, because Ian doesn't lounge around. Ian isn't a
oh
sitter,
yeah.
he's a doer, he's a goer, he's got to be up and about. So it's only now where he's starting to see that that's coming through because of food, and food is so
Mhm.
important.
It is. That is amazing. Yeah, as soon as they see the evidence, right, then and the
Yeah,
benefit for them in it too,
yeah.
um, it all makes sense after. It all makes sense. What would you say is the number one mistake you see women make on their own health journey? Well, specifically with the type of issues that you struggled with, right?
Uh, it's kind of try everything at once. So I see this quite a lot. I see this pattern quite a lot with people where they go, right, that's it. I'm going to that alcohol. I'm going to eat salad. I'm going to go to bed at 9:30. I'm not going to go on my phone. And they do it all at once. And then the last like a day. And then
Yeah.
it is hard. It is a struggle, but you just need to choose one option and work with that and build on it, because but trying to do everything is just, we all know how difficult change is. But
Yeah.
if you take it slow, it's not a quick fix. You're
Mhm.
not going to your doctor, being given a pill to swallow and your life being amazing. And it's really quite unfair, I always tell people, to expect that from some chemical. You have got to put the work in if you want to live a pain-free life.
Yeah, we do definitely live in that quick fix society, right? And there's certain things that,
Yeah,
hey, that works and we can make it happen. But when it comes to health, and I see this with relationships too, right? Women come to me and, okay, well, they want to fix the physical intimacy and the communication and the arguing, and they want to feel good about themselves. And, they'll try doing a few things and then it just becomes a bit overwhelming for them, and you don't see the results right away, and we have to kind of pull it back and say, okay, let's focus on one area, like you were saying, right, and let's be consistent with that, and then let's start layering on
yeah,
top of that.
yeah.
And the more you build kind of the small
Mhm.
habit, it's easier to take on the next thing. And when you do something consistently over time, that's actually when you're going to see the result. It's not throwing, you know more
Yeah,
dishes in the sink, though. You gotta
yeah. You just got to take your time. Yeah.
uh, yeah. So on that kind of note, I threw in some sort of kitchen metaphor in there. So I know where you're going to go with this, but my next question would be, where would you encourage women start on their journey back to wellness? Where should women start?
So definitely in the kitchen. You need to be in that kitchen more time than you are sat watching TV. Because if you're not cooking and watching what you're cooking, you should be preparing for the next thing. And it's a continuous thing. It can be tiring, but once you get momentum and once you get that regime, like whilst I'm cooking, I'm then like filtering water, or I'm chopping vegetables for the next meal, or preparing something, whatever that may, a juice or a smoothie or a protein shake or protein bars. Should always be keeping that momentum. And I always have this rule that at the end of every day, my kitchen has to be absolutely spotless.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All the dishes have to be washed, dried, put away, everything, all the clutter cleared, and then my menu plan for the next day is there ready. And that's what I do plan my meals. This sounds a bit sad, but I do plan my meals for a month,
Nice.
and I plan my shopping lists weekly, and then I know exactly what I need to buy, and then there's no waste of food either.
Yes.
And one of the things that I would say is to buy decent knives and have your workstation clutter free and all your cupboards sorted into how you live. So, like going back to the thing about, me and Ian have this different relationship where we have different kitchens. I have my cupboard in Ian's house. So I have things over there. So I'm not packing things up every time I go over there.
Right.
But I also have my cupboard in such a way that, most people would have the cups and the cutlery and everything in one place, whereas I don't. I have it different, but it works for me. So it's just about trying to figure out what works for you and how to maintain it.
Absolutely. I love waking up in the morning and everything's clean and my cutting board is all,
Yeah,
prepped and I'm ready to chop
ready.
everything up for my smoothie or whatever I'm having
Yeah,
for first thing in the morning. And I mean, I know for myself, like I'm a huge believer in starting in the kitchen, especially right, like you said, the better you eat, the more energy you're going to have,
yeah,
the more you're going to feel good about yourself. It's a great way to actually build consistency and trust with yourself when you start taking on habits in the kitchen. You don't have to worry. I always say, you don't have to worry about the banana talking back to you, right? When you do skills with another person, there's always the element of the other, how's the other person going to respond that can throw you off. But when you're
yeah.
starting in the kitchen and building kind of these habits and stuff, no one's going to talk back to you, no one's going to throw you off, and you're going to feel so good about yourself and so much more energy. What are some of the benefits that you see? How do you see these habits supporting your relationship too?
Well, like you said, just the energy factor and also that empowerment as well of like,
Yes.
this is my body. And yes, it doesn't look like it did when I first met Ian. And I beat myself up about that all the time. However, he never does. He still thinks it's amazing. And he keeps
Yeah.
telling me that. But I've put on quite a bit of weight, although I have lost a bit of that recently. Um, and it's just about having that control over like, oh my God, like if I eat like this, I feel like this. And I don't feel like that. And I think we've always known that. But for me, the transition was really heavily when I hit the menopause because now I'm on HRT and I take a lot of different hormone replacements. I'm not just on one thing. But there's a lot of estrogen in food, and we need to be looking after this body as we get older because things do obviously age that we can't see. We
Yeah.
need to be kind to it. It does a lot for us every day. And one of my things that I said when I was really, really poorly was, I can't grow old feeling like this. It's not an
Mm.
option. I don't want to be a disabled person. So I will do
Yeah.
anything I can. And I started in the kitchen. That was where that started that whole rebirth, if you like, into a menopausal woman.
That's a powerful motivator for sure. And I'm all about, yeah, just aging, gracefully and with full health and energy and proving that,
Yeah.
we can still, the last so many decades or years of your life can still be very active. And I love what you talked about, even just, um, you were referencing how, well, after a certain age, our bodies don't even look the same. And this is the belief I operate from, but I totally believe that it's even more attractive, a woman that takes care of herself than just how she looks, right?
Yeah.
How you look. And, if you're not taking care of yourself, I think it's always going to be more attractive to see someone who's,
Absolutely. Yeah.
putting that effort in. So no matter what. So I love how
Yeah.
you brought that up.
Yeah. Okay. So
Is there
Do you,
anything else you wanted to share
I
or
don't
add to
think so.
that?
It's been cool. It's been really good. Um, so tell me more about your program and what you're doing, what you're developing in your sort of world of coaching at the moment.
Yeah, so what I have going on right now, so it is a 3-month program that I work with women, and we work one-on-one weekly sessions like this on video.
Hmm.
They have access to me in the DMs because I remember when I was struggling in my relationship, I was getting support weekly, but then in between those calls, sometimes I would be stuck and I'm like, okay, I just
Yeah.
had this conflict with my
Like,
my
oh,
husband.
what
What
shall
do
I
I do
do?
now? Or
Yeah.
I know we talked about this, but it doesn't seem to apply, or I'm not sure how to apply it in that moment. So women always have DM access to me so that we can
Excellent.
work through those things. And I have a lot of pre-recorded calls also. So there is a formal kind of program with pre-recorded trainings that women can go through and look at different topics. And when we're talking about something, I can say, hey, go watch that, and you'll get even more information
Hmm.
from that. So
And you do some great content on social media as well. I
thank
always
you.
enjoy reading all your posts and stories that you've got going on. You did one recently about a piñata, and I still can't get that out of my head. I
Yes.
love that. I love that.
Think of men like piñatas. You might have to hit them. And I say with a few different communication approaches, that can be all sorts of different approaches too, right?
I
But
love
once
that.
we find the winning formula, you get the candy, you get the sugar inside. So yeah, if people listening, watching want to follow me, they can find me just
Yeah.
under Mireille Nicole on Facebook, or I am Mireille Nicole on Instagram. And where can people find you? People listening now, where
Yeah.
can they find you online, and what do you have going on?
So I'm on Facebook as Suze JL, I think it is. I can put some links in the bottom of the
Oh
video.
yeah.
Yeah, I can share that. And on YouTube, I'm Wellness to Womb. So on YouTube, I've got a lot of different videos on yoga, meditation, just some really short practices. I know sometimes people are, fixed for time. And I
Yeah.
always have this rule of thumb of 20 minutes a day movement, actual intentional movement where you're intentionally moving and breathing can literally transform your life. And I know this because I'm an example of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, when I was recovering, I had to learn how to do yoga again. So, it's been quite a journey for me to actually dial it back and go, hang on a minute, it can be quite daunting to be a beginner. So that's why I've done a lot of these videos, which when you watch them, you might think, yeah, that doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that difficult. However, it's all about the breath. So that's
Mhm.
where I'm constantly telling people, breathing in and breathing out is what gets you that energy. So I'm all about that. I also have a private group in Facebook, which again is Wellness to Womb, and that we just started that in July. But we've got about 70 people in that now. So that's all
Wow.
women who are either suffering from endometriosis or they're going through the menopause. So it's anything that really anyone has gynecologically aware, where we can just share our different stories, and we go on there every now and again and just pop some things down on there, and I share different things with people in there as well. Yeah, so my 6-month program, what we do in that, we cover every month, we go through what's called the chakra system. And chakra in Sanskrit means spinning wheel. And what we do is we encourage all of those chakras in the body to start spinning properly. When your chakras are misaligned, that's when you start to get disease and
Mm.
start to be really, really run down. So we go through that in detail, one to one. So everyone's journey is completely different because it'll depend upon where they are on their scale of their chakras. So you have 7 chakras. We work through all 7 in the 6 months, and it's a lovely program. Do some online work, then you meet me once a month, and like you, I'm on DM as well for any questions as we go through the program.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
so fascinating, the chakras. Hey, I'm curious. Have you gotten Ian to do yoga yet?
So years ago, we did try when we were both quite fit and young.
Okay.
We tried this move in Ian's sitting room, and it really didn't work very well. I think Ian thought he was stronger than he was.
Uh-oh.
Well, he was lying on his back with his legs up, with his arms up, and
Oh.
I was trying to balance. We did it for about 3 seconds, I think, but it wouldn't have been an Instagram hit, that's for sure.
Oh.
And then, when I did my teacher training, I did it, with an American teacher, called Alana Cavalier, and so it was all online. So everything I did, every exam I had to submit was a video, and I thought it would have been really easy to have used Ian as my model.
Right.
Yeah, why not? He doesn't know what he's doing, so it'd be great. And so he'd agreed, which was a really bad idea now in hindsight. And anyway, he got ready. I used to have a little yoga studio in my home, and he said he was going to go and get ready, and I was like, right, okay, I'll be up in a minute. So I was like, really, like, my teacher head on. So I come into the room, and he's standing there dressed in this ridiculous outfit, but he'd stuck socks down his front.
Brilliant.
That was the only class
Oh,
that we did. That was it. I was like,
yes.
I need to find a yogi to do this with. I can't be asking him to do this. But every time he's got an injury, or his back hurts, or his neck hurts, or his shoulder hurts, and I'll go, and he'll go, yeah, yeah, I need to do yoga.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
So I think that's about it from me. What about you? Have you
Yeah,
got
same
anything else
here.
you want to add?
This was
No?
so great. Thank you for
Yeah.
chatting.
Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode of Whispers of the Womb. In this deep dive into the ever-evolving landscape of relationships, love, and the pursuit of lasting happiness, we've had the privilege of hearing from the remarkable Mireille Nicole, a true luminary in the realm of love and relationships. As we navigate the unpredictable currents of life, we've learned that it's not only possible, but empowering to save relationships that hold profound significance, even in the face of life's most challenging trials. Mireille's mission, driven by passion and expertise, has illuminated the path for women seeking to revitalise their love lives in a mere 12 weeks. In our short journey today, we've explored the vital components of confidence, charisma, and communication, all integral to forging enduring bonds. These are the building blocks of strong, lasting relationships. So, dear listeners, armed with the knowledge and wisdom shared by Mireille, you're now equipped to not only preserve your most cherished relationships, but to nurture them until they flourish. Stay tuned for more intimate conversations on Whispers of the Womb, where we continue to uncover the secrets to finding your own happily ever after.